I'm gonna uh, share my testimony. This is just gonna be a rough draft because I'm still in the process of developing my testimony since I just, I don't know, I can't put the thoughts into words. But this is gonna be my first attempt at doing that. And there will probably be many more to come. But I just, I know that I need to share my story and put something out there, um, mostly just so that you guys can see um, somewhat of an example of what this channel is all about. Um, we we as Eyepiece want to invite people to share their stories, and I'm just gonna do it. So here's me sharing my testimony. When I was in ninth grade, my youth group went to a conference where William Young was the speaker. And William Young is the author of The Shack. So, um, side note, I now know that The Shack is not exactly theologically sound. Skip that part. So I went home and bought The Shack and read it. Reading The Shack kind of opened my eyes to this idea that Christianity is not a religion. Kind of opened my eyes to the idea that Christianity is a relationship versus a religion. And now I was more interested in my faith than ever. I had questions. The one person I knew and trusted enough to go to with these questions was my youth leader, Ken. Basically, I would message Ken with a question, and he would pick me up from my house, take me out to coffee, and we would talk about my questions. This began an ongoing relationship between me and Ken, where I would go to him with my questions about my faith. In 10th grade, I struggled with a deep depression that resulted from self-consciousness, basically this overwhelming feeling that I was not good enough and would never be good enough. This culminated in me one day cutting my wrist a lot. I still have like 6 scars on my wrist where I cut myself in 10th grade. Or maybe it was 11th grade. No, wait, it was in 11th grade. In 11th grade, basically between 10th grade and 11th grade, I spiraled into a deep depression, which climaxed in 11th grade when I cut myself a bunch on my wrist. Later in the year, my youth group went and saw the movie To Save a Life. First of all, I was very touched by the themes of depression and cutting in that movie because it was something that I was intimately familiar with. So that moved me. The second thing that I took out of this movie was a particular scene or group of scenes in the movie where where some of the students at the high school started a group at their school that would meet during lunch and just hang out together, invite others to hang out with them, and it was just this group that met at lunch. They were all Christians. They, would invite the lonely people to hang out with them. They'd invite the popular people to hang out with them. They just started a group where anyone who wanted to hang out with them could. And that inspired me, and I talked to Ken and told him I really want to start a group like that at my school. So Ken connected me with another youth leader named Jeff Self. Jeff is the youth leader at a church near where I went to high school. So Jeff helped me and another group of students who also expressed some interest in starting a Bible study type group at my high school, and this small group of people, headed up by Jeff Self, started a Bible study at my high school. It wasn't exactly what I had envisioned because instead of meeting at lunch, we chose to meet after school, and also not a lot of people showed up. It was mostly consisted of the people who started the group. So there were like 7 or 8 of us who, that's probably way overestimating it. It was probably more like 6 of us. I don't know. There were about 7 or 8 of us who came to this group consistently. After I graduated from high school, my pastor invited me and a few other young adults to a conference called the Xenos Summer Institute. And the conference had kind of these breakout sessions where in between the main sessions, people could go take these short little classes about whatever topic was there was a class on. One of those classes was about small group leadership, and that really fascinated me because of the experience I had in high school, and I wanted to learn more about leading a small group because it was still something that I wanted to do. Because I was so passionate about um, about small groups, and because there was a lot of other stuff in that conference that I found interesting, I came home and started and really wanted to share what I learned with all my friends. But once again, I was met with rejection and opposition. And I was pretty much done there. Like, I mean, I had already dealt with feelings of, not being good enough. And I thought that, living my life for Jesus would be worth it. And I was being met with so much rejection that I needed to find something else. A lot of really bad stuff happened at that point that I probably won't share in this video. But during all of this, my mom actually contacted Ken and told her that I was struggling with my faith and had a lot of questions, really needed someone to mentor me. Ken actually got in touch with one of the elders at my church named Bill. Bill pretty much saved my life. He invited me to go through a study called Discipleship Essentials and told me, hey, invite one of your friends to join us. It's best to do this as a group. So it was small groups again. It was what I had been wanting to do all along. So I invited my friend Connor, and me, Bill, and Connor went through the Discipleship Essentials study from start to finish. It took us a little bit over a year. We met every Friday at 9 a.m. or something at Panera. We would have coffee, and we would have cinnamon crunch bagels, and we just learned about the essentials of Christianity, basically. It completely turned my faith around. At the end of this study, I finally made the decision to be baptized. And yeah, a bunch of my friends came to see me get baptized, and we finished up the Discipleship Essentials study, and man, I was ready to go. I was like, let's do this again. I was just so blown away by this study. So I was fired up, and I was ready to go out and start a small group. My church was having a bit of a crisis. We did not have a young adult focused ministry. So my pastor kind of commissioned me and like the only other young adult at my church, Emily Minema, to kind of head up the millennial ministries at the church. Emily was originally the kind of the head of the group, but she stepped down because just of lack of support and basically the same things I had been dealing with, rejection and opposition, and there was nothing, it seemed like nothing was happening. You know, she would plan events, no one would show up, and it just seemed like what was the point of having this group if it wasn't reaching anyone? So after she stepped down, I half volunteered and half was voluntold to head up the Millennial Ministries. First thing I did was change the name because the word millennial kind of has some negative connotations. So I changed the name to 20-somethings because that way future young adults wouldn't, because because it was a little bit more generic. And basically the same thing happened to me. There was no support. Nobody was really interested. Nobody really wanted another group to go to. I mean, most of my friends who were my age already went to a church and already had a group to go to. So I just couldn't find anyone who was interested in joining this group. So I didn't take it as hard as my previous failures because I knew that I just needed some more experience. So I kind of stepped away from that and started to focus more on my maturity and development of my faith. So through a college group, through a college ministry called Crew, I joined what was called a D group. D group being short for development group. And that was led by my now good friend Dallas Chase, who was actually in one of the Thanksgiving videos. So was Connor. Anyways, being in this D group, just it grew me in so many ways. Like, I developed some relationship skills. I developed some leadership skills because I had to lead lessons, and it reminded me of why I was so passionate about small groups in the first place. It was a small group setting, and there was just so much fellowship and like this sense of brotherhood among the other guys in the group, among all the guys in the group, and I grew so much through that, and I was again ready to take on another try at this small group thing. My church came up with an idea to help attract young adults to our church we started a group called Dangerous, which was basically a place where people could come and openly talk about what are usually considered dangerous topics like homosexuality, um, refugees, race issues. Excuse me. And unfortunately, I just wasn't that into the idea. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't my area of expertise. Like a lot of people enjoyed the group and a lot of people got a lot out of it, but I personally just had no drive to to see this group succeed. And I was the one put in charge of it, of course, because I'm like the uh, representative millennial of my church. So they picked me to deal with it, and I didn't want to, and so the group kind of fizzled out. And amongst that, I was struggling with school. I was losing interest in my degree. I was taking accounting and just I did not want to do accounting anymore. My It just seemed like nothing was really working in my life. I had, you know, just been broken up with. Uh, like nothing was really going well. I was trying to get back into the, small group stuff with Bill. Uh, we went. So during this, uh, Bill and I, along with a few other guys from my church, started going through the kind of sequel, I guess, to Discipleship Essentials, which is called Leadership Essentials, which I'm sure it's a wonderful book, and I would definitely go through it again. But at the time, I was just so distracted by everything going on in my life that I put no effort into this study. I could probably look back through my book and there'd be nothing written in it because I could not focus. So this, I just, I was struggling so much to have any passion in my life. Like everything seemed so dull. Then I don't know. I kind of took a break from things. Like I stopped. Leadership Essentials ended. We had a really awesome celebration party where we went to one of the guys' cabins on the lake. We all went fishing. I discovered a passion for fishing, I guess. We went fishing. We caught a bunch of fish. We fried the fish. We, ate the fish, and it was fun. I quit Dangerous. I just told everyone, like, guys, I just am not interested in this. You can keep doing it if you want. Good luck, but it's just not for me. And I got back into D group. For some reason, I was put in a D group twice. Normally, the sequence is you start out in a C group, which is a community group, which I did, and then from there you move into a D group, which is a development group. They develop you kind of into getting a taste as the role for a leader, and then after that you actually lead a C group and also attend an L group, which is a leadership group. For whatever reason, they decided to put me into a second D group, and then after I finished that, nobody really contacted me about joining an L group or leading a C group. So I just kind of said, I'll just start my own group. Um, uh, at that time, um, I was kind of visiting, I was kind of checking out new churches, not because I wanted to stop going to my church, but just, well, kind of, but mostly just because I wanted to see what else was out there. Like, what are other churches doing that is attracting young adults to them that maybe my church could start doing? And so I ended up going to a church called Radiant. And one of the series that they did at Radiant was called Storytellers. Um, what they did for this series was invited anyone in the congregation or anyone who was just happened to be there. Like, I wasn't part of the congregation, but I just happened to be there. They invited anyone who wanted to host a small group at their house and kind of facilitate the curriculum for this series, for this Storytellers series. Which I just said, yes, absolutely, I will do that. That's what I've been wanting to do this whole time, um, is to hold a small group at my house and just talk about Jesus. So I hosted a group at my house for Storytellers. And first of all, this was an amazing experience. Out of all of my small group experiences, next to Discipleship Essentials, which was phenomenal, and like nothing will ever top that because that was the point that turned my faith around. Storytellers, to this day, yet, Storytellers so far has been the most successful experience I've had in leading a small group, I think. All right, so the theme of Storytellers was, it was about writing your story. Basically, it was about how everybody has a story, and everybody's story contributes to the greater story of that of God's story. And basically every Sunday they would show a video in front of church of somebody, and I think they were all actually members of the church, the people in these videos. Basically, it was a video of someone from the church telling their story, and like it was all like artsy, and like there were quotes and like cool music and just like nature shots, and I'm like, these are such cool videos. And I had been like kind of toying with the idea of like using social media to reach out to people in my age group, because it seems like people in my age group respond well to social media. I think, I'm not sure, this could be a bad idea, I'm not sure, but I liked the idea of having these videos of someone's testimony, because like if you have a video of your testimony like I'm making right now, you can share that testimony like infinitely and with anyone across the world. Like, I can send this video to anyone at any time and they'll hear my testimony. So as a result of this Storytellers group, I started Eyepiece. And like, man, I was so excited about it. I still am excited about it. With pretty much that idea in mind. And I knew it was going to be kind of hard to get people to share their whole testimony um, right off the bat. So I I decided to kind of spark people's interest with the Thanksgiving videos. You can still watch those. They're still on the channel. They're pretty cool. Like, I'm pretty proud of them, and I'm really happy that a lot of people wanted to do them. Um, it just it was so exciting, like making these videos, meeting up with my friends, and just like watching this channel be born. Like, that was pretty much the birth of Eyepiece, was these Thanksgiving videos. And they're so simple. Like, literally, I you know, it took like 10 minutes for someone to say 3 things they're thankful for. Um, if that. It took like 5 minutes for someone to say 3 things they're thankful for. And I ended up making like 7 videos to post on my channel. And it was just amazing. And then, for some reason, I, I couldn't really think of an idea to follow up with. Like, I had a lot of success with the Thanksgiving thing, and then Christmas was rolling around, and I was like, I want to do that again, but what what do you talk about for Christmas? Like, how do I get people to contribute to this channel in a Christmassy way? So, like, I made a video where I asked the question, like, share an experience that was like memorable of giving or something. And nobody really responded. I sent the video out. I even like messaged people personally and said like, "Hey, you want to do a video or something?" And just like no one really wanted to. And so I kind of made a second video where I was like, I didn't really word the question very well, so I'm going to change the question. What did I change it to? It was like, it was what does it mean to give, or something like that. I just, I was so, like, what's the word? I was so like ecstatic about about the success of this Thanksgiving thing, that I was like, that needs to happen again. And like, I just, I couldn't, it wasn't happening. And I'm like, no, this stupid rejection thing again. And so I just kind of gave up on Eyepiece for like almost a year. And then, tried a few different things here and there. Like, I moved out of my parents' house and into an apartment, held a book club there, which was really cool and quite successful. But, I was still thinking about YouTube and about vlogging and Eyepiece, and I wanted to do that again. And I also really wanted to do small groups again. And I was just like, man, I just want to do ministry. Like, I want to do something meaningful. Like, I didn't even know exactly what. Like, I had toyed with the idea of doing youth ministry. I actually even went to a college visit, like, the year before, and wasn't quite sure. But, like, throughout this whole time, I had been kind of toying with the idea of youth ministry and like because I don't know. So when I got around to at some point over the summer, or maybe it was during the spring, but at some point I I started thinking about Eyepiece and like I really want to do this again. And so I kind of started outlining my testimony, like in my head, and just thinking back to what um, what has impacted me, what has impacted my faith throughout my life, and like in you know recalling all of the major turning points in my life, what I realized was, first of all, youth group played such a huge part in my faith. And second of all, Ken played such a huge part in my faith. Like, just how much I was impacted by my youth leader and didn't even realize it. I mean, Ken helped me understand a lot of the questions that I had when I first began to explore Christianity. Ken is the one who connected me with Jeff and helped me start a Bible study at my school. Ken is the one who connected me with Bill, who discipled me and basically solidified my faith. And it's just I didn't even realize until I thought about my testimony how much Ken had impacted me. And so really thinking about my testimony did two things. First, it just made me realize like I want to touch someone's life the way Ken touched mine. I want to be a youth leader. And so that resulted in me enrolling in Cornerstone. That is why I ended up enrolling at Cornerstone in the ministry leadership program, because